celebrity drama?
Drew Sidora, they're giving the vibes as if she's dating Portia's ex.
Oh my God.
Check. Music, movies, and viral moments.
Gabrielle Union came out and said that she was doing 50-50 with Dwayne Wade. I have that audio just in case you didn't remember, so let's listen to that.
Check. Exclusives? Come on, y'all. Y'all know I got that over here.
Whatever Loren says law, yo.
The show with all the hot takes, zero filter. Welcome to The Latest with Loren LoRosa. I'm Loren LoRosa, and I'm going to be bringing you guys where pop culture meets personalities. And over here, baby, we are doing all the things. Give me my tens, because we're going to have a good time.
Hey, y'all. What's up? It's Loren LoRosa, and this is The Latest with Loren LoRosa. This is your daily dig on all things pop culture, entertainment news, and all of the conversations that shake the room, baby. Now, today, we are going to get into a conversation that I'm always down to have conversations about stereotypes. And I am always down to have conversations about stereotypes when it comes to male and female. Because, and it's not even like a feminist movement thing, because I don't consider myself a feminist. There's a lot of things with feminist movement ways that I don't agree with. However, I always like opportunities to call out bullshit. So, Vivica Fox was at a women's expo in New Jersey, and she was asked, what would she say to her 17-year-old self? Like, what is some advice for people that are young, trying to get into this? And here is what she had to say.
Inspired to chase after their dreams.
Don't date 50 Cent and don't date no damn rappers.
Now, of course, it's Vivica Fox. She's mentioning 50 Cent. Don't date rappers. Don't date 50 Cent. All the workings and all the things are there to get the people going. That is exactly what happened because, oh, baby, the people have been online arguing for the past week. Here's the argument. Is Vivica Fox just this person who, had this relationship with 50 Cent, both stars at the time, that just can't let it go because 50 Cent is 50 Cent and who he is and all of the things, right? But let us not forget Miss Vivica A. Fox, the girl, Vivica A. Let us not forget who Vivica Fox was at the time when she was dating 50 Cent and who she still is today, right? So there's that conversation that people are having. And then there's the conversation of, well, what's wrong with her saying that she would have not have wanted to have dated a rapper? Or honestly, when you dig deeper into the conversation, just make it her dating life a part of her career. I want to get into this conversation. Now, some time ago, about a few years ago, back in 2023, I sat down with Vivica Fox. We were having a conversation about her NAACP Image Award nomination at the time for the Tonisha Welch story, which is another version of a BMF story. You guys know 50 Cent was doing the BMF series, which was recently announced that, this would be their last season. It's canceled. It's not coming back. But yes, so it's Tonisha Welch story. Vivica A. Fox, was in the producer, director's chair of that. And they were nominated for Image Award. So we're talking, and what I realized in preparing for the conversation, the sit down that I had with Vivica A. Fox, was that I don't think a lot of people, especially if you're of a certain age and younger, really understand the way Vivica Fox was the girl. I mean, everywhere you looked, every big name projects, Hollywood, big studio films, everywhere you look, she was the girl. And not only talent-wise and what she was booking, but I just mean beauty and, essence of like Black woman in Hollywood and just the sex appeal and the power and all of the things. I think a lot of that oozed into the roles that she decided to take. But I also learned in this conversation with Vivica Fox that this very thing that people love to go back and forth with her about is rightfully hers to talk about and how it has actually affected. It's like people want to see the back and forth because I guess it's entertaining. People want to criticize the back and forth. But I don't think people ever take the time to stop and think about, well, was she really affected by that relationship? Is that why this has become a permanent part of her story? Vivica Fox tells me in the sit-down interview that we did that if she could take back a lot of things or just conversations, it would be the fact that people only knew her for the girlfriend or the sexy roles. Let's take a listen to this interview I did some time ago with Vivica Fox. Have you ever felt that way yourself? Like as talent, I think we always see you
powerful. We always see you sexy, always see you strong.
Yes.
Has Vivica A. Fox ever had a moment where you felt like I'm not that girl anymore
Sure.
because of outside noise?
Girl, come on. You know I felt the outside noise for years.
But I don't think that I've ever. We couldn't tell.
Oh.
I see you responding to stuff, but you get up and go back to work the next day.
True that. But there was a time where everyone was more concerned about my love life and things on the blogs than my talent. I learned that. That was my mistake. You know, I learned to keep things a little bit more privately. That was because I opened myself up. So what I had to do was accept responsibility for that. I'm a huge accountability person.
Mhm.
I take accountability for all my actions. When something happens in my career, in my life, I'm the first one to look in the mirror and go, "Wow, how and why did that happen?
Right.
And what part did I play?" So I had to go and reinvent myself.
And I think, in looking at this, and I did try and reach out and have a new, refreshed conversation around this with Vivica Fox to no avail. But I think in having the conversation I had with her and seeing the way that people reacted, to her, even in her mentioning this conversation, I do remember there was a time where Vivica Fox, and 50 were going back and forth. You know the thing they were doing amongst their shows, and 50 Cent's girlfriend at the time, Cuban Link, had got involved, and she said some things that weren't too flattering of Vivica Fox, and the world quickly reminded Cuban Link and everybody else that thought that, those comments were cute. You cannot play with Hollywood royalty, black television, black movie, black it girl royalty, which is what Vivica Fox is. So when I see people have conversations about the fact that she's expressing herself and what this relationship meant to her, didn't mean, did to her, I'm like, y'all, that is her business to be able to do so. You got people out here, and this is the thing too that bothers me. Like, I feel like when it comes to women, when we have conversations about relationships and our what we demand in relationships, not even what we demand, but like just what we want in relationships, what we don't want in relationships, how relationships have affected us, depending on the person and depending on how we talk about it, we're dragged. Like, we are not allowed to be these like women needs these people, these beings that are just out here figuring things out, dating, learning what we like, what we don't like. Like, think about the fact that like right now, take any woman in Hollywood, any single woman in Hollywood right now. Let's take Tracee Ellis Ross, for example. Tracee Ellis Ross has talked a lot about, being single, not having kids and enjoying her life at this point without all of the things.
I, like many of us, was taught to grow up dreaming of my wedding, not of my life. And I spent many years dreaming of my wedding.
Preach to the choir.
And also waiting to be chosen. Well, here's the thing. I'm the chooser. And I can choose to get married if I want to, but in the meantime, I am choicefully single, happily, gloriously single.
In dating, right? She's also talked about deciding to keep her business to herself when it comes to dating. And I know a lot of women that do this, especially industry-wise, or if they, they're influencers, they have a little buzz or whatever the case they may be, right? Because as a woman, you don't get the ability to date a man, experience that, learn from it, dislike it, talk about it, use it in any type of creative. Taylor Swift is dragged every time she writes about an ex. Summer Walker gets dragged every time she talks or writes about an ex. And, and granted, I'm not saying that every woman in every decision that they're making with the men that they're dating are great decisions. That is not the argument here. What I'm saying is who are we to tell these women that they can't make them decisions and can't do that? If Tracee Ellis Ross today were to go out on a date in public and be seen with somebody, even if the date is just her casually getting to know somebody, she is now marked by that person that she was seen with. And literally, it could have just been like a coffee date. But if you're a man and you're seen out and you're, dating a person or whatever, multiple different people, it just doesn't stick the same. And I think people don't understand that, period. I think if you're a woman who is not in a certain space, which is crazy to me because I feel like you don't got to be famous to understand that as a woman, your count is your count. What is thrown on your name and your reputation when it comes to dating, when it comes to men, when it comes to, all of that sticks way harder than it does any man in any similar situation. But especially with women in the spotlight, I think we give them such a hard time about these decisions that they're making and their reactions to the decisions and how they handle them, when it's like, it could have really been a situation that like really stopped, things in her. As she said, she had to go back and rebuild her career after taking on certain roles and being the sexy girl and the girlfriend and, being spotted with all of the guys. And that's just a thing. Why are y'all mad at Vivica Fox for expressing something that she might have learned? Maybe she had to learn, you don't want the big name celebrity rapper. You don't, because it overshadows your work. It overshadows, your own career. It overshadows all of the hard work you put into things. Like, why is that an issue? We only do it with women. If a man were to come out and say, for instance, Nick Cannon is a perfect example, and Nick Cannon, not everybody loves his commentary when he talks about Mariah Carey. I think every now and then he does get that, oh, here you go again. But at the same time, Nick Cannon is allowed to have conversations about his experiences in dating Mariah Carey, who was a, and Nick Cannon was Nick Cannon, but it's Mariah Carey at the time, right? He gets to talk about that. He gets to talk about how it really messed with his ego. He gets to talk about the fact that he had to take a step back and really take a look in and say, hey, why did that bother me? Why was I so challenged in that relationship as a man? Like, why did her status and the things that she's accomplished, make me feel lesser than, or make me feel like I had to poke my chest out in certain situations and then our relationship didn't work? We call these conversations healing, and, he's tapping in with himself and he's maturing it. But when a woman does it, oh, Laura, here she go again talking about that relationship. She can't get over that man. Huh? And I'm here for the back and forth. It's entertaining because, the minute 50 Cent is mentioned, he is coming. And he had similar, sentiments than what I saw online. So 50 Cent posted a photo of himself with the red pill, blue pill. And in the photo, the caption says, either way, I'm going to have that ass in the Matrix. I love me some you, girl. But damn, it's been 22 years, Vivica. Question for the audience, question for the people in the room. Why can't women talk about what they've learned in relationships and it not be, well, damn, still? Honestly, I feel like anytime a woman is talking about anything relationship-wise, especially something that has turned her off, she doesn't like, she has had to learn from, or she's had to move on, we are either difficult, we're bitter, we're stuck on past situations, we want too much, or our expectations are too high or just unrealistic, or we don't know how to create a safe space for a man to be vulnerable and all these things because we don't want to settle for certain things. And maybe this is the woman in me speaking. Am I being biased? I want to hear from the men as well. How do y'all feel? Do you feel like as a man, because I know sometimes men get called sassy, but most of the time it's the men with the podcast mics, and let's be honest, a lot of them do be a little sassy, a little seasoned, a little sassoned. But men, do y'all feel like you guys are able to have open conversations about what you've learned in relationships, how you've learned it, what you've liked, what you did not like, and how does it proceed? Because I feel like when I'm watching men do it, both in a, very open, big entertainment industry or just even on podcasts or online, women love hearing an evolved king. Yes. Men love seeing men in spaces being able to express themselves because, according to you guys, women don't allow you the space to. But the minute we do it, I'm going to get chewed up for this video. The minute we do it, we are bitter. We can't move on. They love to say we don't know our worth because we're we don't want to be here. We're figuring it out there. Like, don't have dated around. And I don't mean like you out here just throwing it in a circle for everybody. I mean like you are honestly a single woman who has decided to be single until you figure out what it is that you want. So you're dating and experiencing different people. Then you fatherless, you a hoe, you don't know. It's just I don't understand what are we supposed to do? Like, can we date? Can we learn? Can we grow? Can we use it to teach the next generation of young girls coming up about, hey, this is what you should not do, or nah? Y'all let me know.